Hi, Karen. Happy late September. I am so happy to see your beautiful face, even though I did see you last week, but we did not record last week.
Correct. Katie, as always, it is wonderful to see your face. Happy Beyonce week to me.
Oh,
And
yes.
yes, listeners, by the time you hear this Monday, I will be leaving the following day to go to New Orleans to see Beyonce. Oh,
Oh
wow.
my God. I'm so excited for you. Seriously. Holy crap. I can't believe it's already happening.
Oh, no, I know. Exactly. Well, and I can't believe you already been.
I know. I've already been. Yes. Okay. So do you want to talk about Beyonce for a second? Because this is
Yes,
it.
no spoilers, even though her videos are all over the internet.
It's
Yes.
fair. I will not do any spoilers whatsoever. I am just so excited for you and maybe to go and to go to New Orleans. I mean, come on. Like that's amazing. Like to go and spend some time. How many days are you going to be there?
Just four.
Okay. That's amazing.
Oh, 4 or 5? I don't, math is hard. We're going
Wait,
Tuesday through Saturday.
that sounds amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
you'll be able to like relax and enjoy New Orleans. It's not just like an in and out for one night type of thing.
correct. Yes.
Ooh, that's so exciting. Yeah, so I went 2 weeks ago and it was amazing. And that's all I'll say because I feel like we should have a total debrief after you go. But it was incredible. It was such a beautiful experience. And Beyonce is, I mean, it's just it goes without saying, she's an absolute goddess. Like just to be in her presence is such a cool experience because I have never seen her before. I know some people have seen her like many, many, many times, but I just, yeah, it was for me, it was like a potentially once in a lifetime, and I'm just glad I did it. So I'm so glad you and Mimi are going also.
I'm so excited. So good to hear. Yes, I've never seen her live either.
You
So
haven't? Oh, good.
never. And so I'm very, very, very excited. And yeah, the only thing I've seen, I think, about your show was so there's the whole mute challenge.
Yes, that is a thing. That is a yes.
And apparently Vancouver did not do great.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh my
yeah,
God, I love this so much that you know that
yes.
Canadians didn't get the memo, apparently.
No, like I mean, well, I feel like there are certain people like on Instagram and TikTok who are like, it is a thing, right? Because there's a competition. Like Atlanta maintains that they did the best job of the mute
Mm.
challenge of
Mm-hmm.
anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a little bit of a competition, and I feel like I saw a video of somebody in Vancouver recording and being like, really, y'all?
I mean, okay, so the mute challenge, for those of you who don't know, there is a song in the Renaissance album called Energy, and there is a part where Beyonce says something about on mute. Like that's right, like
Everybody on mute.
everybody on mute. Yeah. And she in the actual song, in like I was just gonna say in the CD, but like in the recording on the 8-track tape, there is like there is no pause. Like it's just like part of it's just a lyric. She just keeps going, whatever. But in her, like for all of you who don't know this and are going to a Beyonce concert, you will thank us later because she stops, like literally stops the concert after the word mute. And it's like a test if people like no one is able to like they're not supposed to talk, yell, clap, like nothing. Like the entire stadium is supposed to just stop in silence. And she does. She really does. She pauses for several seconds. Like it's noticeable. I mean, I will say that like I knew about it and I told my mom about it. And I don't know if my mom knew the exact moment. So I think she was quiet the entire song just in case. Like which I mean that's also you could do that like when she starts singing energy just to be safe, you could do that. And so but like I definitely noticed that there was like less noise. Like it definitely there was like a moment of like it almost felt like a vacuum, like it's like nothing. But I also was not in any other concerts at other locations, and so I believe Atlanta. I mean, that I'm sure that was amazing. If she's going to Houston, it was probably even better or will be even better because that's her hometown. So like, yeah, I just love that you and Mamie are preparing for the mute challenge.
Yes, yes. Whew. Nola, we gotta bring it. Yeah.
I mean, I bet you it is going to be a wild and crazy time. I mean, New Orleans is already such a fun place. And so to have Beyonce there, my guess is that she's just going to take over the whole city. Like it's just going to be people sparkly. Oh, by the way, what are you thinking for your outfits, Karen? Have you already thought about this?
Have I already been stressing out about this? Well,
Yes,
yeah.
fair.
Yes, I have. Because I don't have any sparkly clothes. And we are hashtag Beyonce broke. So
Oh,
anything I
right.
acquire, I mean, I have a hot glue gun. I feel like that's really
Yes.
my, sorry, I'm distracted. Our food deliveries here. Yeah,
Nice.
I feel like that is my solution. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna come up with something, though. Oh my God, it is rapidly approaching. Yeah, I don't know.
You will come up with something, don't worry. Like, and also I will say that not every single person is dressed as a disco ball. Like that is, I really thought they would be. And I mean, the people who weren't, like there actually were a lot that weren't. I mean, I don't think everyone got the memo, and it's like it's totally okay. Or they were just like not into it or whatever. But like don't worry, like you won't stick out like a sore thumb if you don't wear, all metallic basically. But it was amazing. I mean, the outfits were incredible. Like there were definitely people who were wearing just like sparkly earrings, and that was the only part of sparkle they were having. And then there were people in like full like sequined Versace jumpsuits, like there
Yes.
was like it was just like wow, like that is amazing. Like, like people who were in like the highest of high heels. Meanwhile, I'm in sneakers, because like I can't I just can't. You're standing the whole time.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes. MLB was just saying we were just at Janelle Monáe, which of course was
Oh my
incredible.
God. How was that? I was so jealous when you told me about that.
It was so, so, so good. However, it was standing room only unless you paid an extra $70 a person for these VIP tables, which we did
Oh.
not do. And MLB was like, oh, thank God we have seats for Beyonce. And I'm like, we're not going to be sitting down at
Oh
all.
yeah. No, you won't. You won't. I will say though that the crowd is very like I mean, respectful is the right word, I guess. I don't know. Like, no one's like kind of like pushing or like trying to get for, at least not in Vancouver, they weren't. But then again, Canadians suck at the mute challenge. So maybe it will be a totally different experience in New Orleans. It might be, I mean, it might, I bet, I hope you guys have the best time ever. It's going to be incredible.
Thank you very
That's,
much. I'm very excited.
yeah, like that's amazing. Oh, and also, I don't know how much I've told you about this, Karen, but like immediately after, so the day after Beyonce, we found out that Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind and Fire were in town also. And Vancouver's such a small place that like it again takes over the city, not in the same way Beyonce did, but my mom was like, we're going to Earth, Wind and
Oh,
Fire and Lionel. And I had seen Lionel twice prior. I love Lionel Richie. He's like one of my favorites. And he has so much energy, even though he's like 74 years old. Like it's incredible, totally inspiring. Anyway, well, we couldn't get the tickets at first, and then StubHub and blah blah blah. There was like a whole back and forth. And then we went and it was amazing. And it was incredible. So it was a really nice time in Vancouver. And if PSA, if anyone can ever go to Lionel, seriously, just do it. Like it's incredible. He's honestly amazing. It's like very uplifting and it's like a total sing-along. And so like it's just, I mean, if you know Lionel songs, which I definitely do, and do you like Lionel Richie?
and I think you can't not like Lionel Richie. Like if you were born during a certain era, you have
Yes.
to like Lionel Richie. So yes, absolutely. Not enough to go see him, I will say. I've never
Okay.
seen him,
Fair.
but I also do appreciate he's from Alabama, which is where my family is. So
Oh, he is? That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
I did not know that. Wow. Yeah. He's a really, I don't, he just has such a good vibe. Anyway, it was really, really
Oh.
fun. And yeah. And then, okay, so listeners, I'll let you in on a little just behind the curtain. Last week, Karen and I were totally teed up for our podcast. And I showed up 10 minutes late for our call, which not okay, but also I was not okay. And so I just, I think it's just because this podcast call is called Of Course I'm Not Okay. I'm fine just being transparent. And I'm sorry, everyone, that we had to skip last week, but it was one of those times where the waterfall of emotion was an actual waterfall. And I was just having a rough patch. And actually, it followed our podcast the week before about Mercury retrograde. And I will say that I have never felt the planets in that way before. And yeah, this time I did. And it was a wild 10 days, even though I had Beyonce and Lionel Richie in between. And that was great. It really, really was nice. And my in-laws were visiting, and that was nice. But like, when you're feeling like shit, like you can't, it's hard to put a band-aid on the shit, it still smells.
It's not
I don't know.
wow.
Metaphors. Here we go.
Yes. Thank you for that very vivid, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, that's gonna stay with me. Okay, thank you for that. Well, and thank you for being transparent and thank you for telling me. And we just talked, and I feel like it was really, I'm just grateful that I got to be part of this conversation with you.
Thank you, Karen. I am beyond grateful that you're my friend and that I could even talk to you and that like this is I mean, listeners, this is real. Like this is like we're really doing life together. Like this is like, and so I just really appreciate you and holding space for me and being okay with not pressing record on that day. So now I'm better and I'm sitting in an art studio. That's another thing that I am, like doing, which is very nice. Like right now I'm not at my house. I've changed it up and I'm hanging out at my friend's art studio in Bend and it's fucking freezing in here, Karen. Like the heater's not working. I have to be honest.
Oh my God.
It's
Okay.
actually it's 53 degrees in here.
Oh my God, I wonder what you can do.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could get some blankets. Actually, she does have a blanket. Maybe I'll get one later. I mean, I'm fine. I'm very alert. So that's
Oh,
helpful.
yes, exactly. I mean, being
Right?
freezing, but she's got to have something in there. Okay. She's got to have something in there.
I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, I think she does. She does have a blanket in the corner. Maybe I'll grab that later. But I always hear that like Stephen Colbert at his late night show always has it at like under 60 degrees and like people talk about it and they can see their breath. They joke about that. But like he is like people are very on because like they are just so it's like I'm like in an air cold plunge. So, I feel very alert and great. So it's all good.
Fantastic. I mean, what's air cold plunge is funny. What's amazing about this is that, as I said, your backdrop, listeners, I wish you could see this backdrop. There's beautiful piece of fiber art behind you. There are, I
Yarn.
don't know, yarn,
Lots
like,
of yarn. Yes.
yes, like honeycomb shaped shelves of yarn, and it is beautiful. And you have a great sweater on that matches everything. And I feel like it's interesting that you're cold because you look very cozy,
Oh, I love that.
right? And I feel like the yarn is giving me just like warm vibes, but no,
No,
that was
it's
happening.
absolutely freezing, but it's cool. I mean, I appreciate that. I like the look of being cozy. Maybe I'm just going to embody that and just embrace the cozy. I mean, it is helping to like chat and like not just like sit on my computer and just like shiver, but it's all good. I'll just go to a coffee shop later if this doesn't work, but I do appreciate her lending me her art studio when she's on vacation. So yeah.
I, okay, if I'm remembering this story right, it might be a segue to our theme for today.
Ooh, let's do it. Yes.
Okay, because I think you've talked about on the pod, this was your friend who was thinking about creative endeavors and was in downtown Bend and then came across this space being available and jumped on it.
Yeah. I mean, you have an elephant memory, Karen. Like that's amazing. I don't think I've mentioned that to you like in more than a year. Yes, it is actually interesting. Okay, so I'll talk about my friend. Her name is Anna and she is okay, so she's her story, I'll just try to make it brief, but like she is from Orange County. She met a guy down there when he was on a business trip. His name's Dave. He lived in San Francisco. She was a swimsuit designer for one of the big ones, like Billabong or like one of the major swimsuit companies. And she was high up in this, whatever the swimsuit company was. She designed swimsuits forever. Like she's very, very artistic in that way. Anyway, she quit, moved to San Francisco with him. And then after a few years in San Francisco, they were up in Bend on a motorcycle trip. And she saw this, like she went into this like kind of shopping center area district. It's called the Old Mill District in Bend. Saw this red barn that like was kind of off, like it is a historic barn that used to have, I don't remember, other art studios in here or something like that. But anyway, she was like, I'm going to be in there someday. And she had no idea how. And she had no job. She had like, she really was in like the space of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like she had quit, swimsuit designing and she was really like in between. And she just literally created an art form, which she takes these blocks of birch wood, drills with a drill into them, threads yarn through them and then makes these genuinely like huge sculptures that are, well, they're not sculptures, but they're like pieces of art that depict you know, buffalo, and they depict mountainscapes, and they depict, like right now I'm looking at two eagles on the wall, and like she just did this, and she started an Instagram. And then, I mean, she didn't have enough money to rent this barn that she had seen in the shopping district. And then about a year and a half in, she was like, I'm going to go for it. Like, she had been selling a few of her pieces online. Her pieces are truly spectacular. Like, I'll have to link them in the show notes. And then maybe even this week I'll put together something on Instagram and show that. But anyway, and then she now is doing, she just won an award down in Palm Springs at this incredible art show. She, like, you know, went to another art show in Colorado this year. Like, she's actually now like exploding, and she has like a backlog of commissioned pieces. And so she has created her purpose. She really has. She has created an art form which is now being copied by places like Anthropology and other places. Like, but it's, if it is, then it's copying her. Like, it really, it's a very original situation. And I'm not saying that everyone, when they're looking for their purpose, has to create original art and then blow it up, but like at the same time, like, it's a cool example of someone who just like went for it.
Oh my God, 1000%. And that piece that's right behind you is beautiful.
Yes,
I
yes, that
really,
is so pretty. And like, you can see that one. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Let me show you really quick. Okay, so there's this one. So listeners, you can't see it, but it's a picture of like a mountainscape with a lake at the bottom. And then that is a buffalo. And it's just, it's really amazing like how she does this stuff. And so it's a lot of manual labor. But she loves it. It's very meditative for her. So
oh my
anyway.
gosh, really, like, just like I said, like cozy, really lots of earth tones, lots of green. It's really so beautiful and it's so badass. And I love that she went for it.
Yes.
Yes. And that is part of our theme today, right? Is tuning into your purpose and kind of just going for it. I have been thinking about this a lot lately, and I will credit the folks leading. So I'll back up and say my day job is going through equity training right now. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say by who, but they are amazing. And one of the things they had us do this week was our personal manifestos and really tuning into our purpose and creating space in your life, reclaiming time in your life to dream and to tune into your purpose. And yeah, to think about what your manifesto as a person is, not just at work, but like in the rest of your life. Because as we've talked about, you are a whole ass person outside of your job. And so, yeah, I've just been thinking about it a lot, writing my manifesto. And I had kind of a downer realization about it, but I'll stop there for now.
Oh my goodness, I would love to hear about this. And also, like, I think it's such a beautiful service for like an organization that's doing a training to really introduce something like that, to like not just talk about how you are at work or how you can be better at work, but it's like treating you, like you say, a whole ass person. Who, like, a manifesto, is it like a manifesto for your life or a manifesto for your purpose, or like what is it exactly?
A personal manifesto for your life. And, you know, I think a lot of people did like broad brushstrokes about like who you are as a person and then how you show up in these different areas of your life. And so the examples they gave us was there's a list of like guiding principles for leadership that Brene Brown has.
Oh, nice.
And one of the other examples they shared with us was I don't know if you've seen this letter from, it's not even a letter. It's like literally was scribbled on like the back of an envelope or a napkin by Octavia Butler, the sci-fi writer.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, I will find it and send it to you. And it's this list of things that she's going to accomplish. And I said this in our training, like it's the first time that I realized that the word manifest is in the word manifesto. Because she is like, I will be a New York Times bestselling author. I will have a beautiful home in a safe neighborhood. I will have these things. And at the time, I think she had like maybe one book out, or was not Octavia Butler, famous sci-fi writer, was just like aspiring writer
Wow.
and wrote these things down. And I don't know how many of them she ended up achieving in her lifetime. She is no longer with us, but it really is an amazing example of, yes, a manifesto is a manifest. And like, I'm going to accomplish these things, and this is who I want to be, and this is what I want to do. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Also, you saying that was the first time you realized the word manifest is in the word manifesto is also you saying that is my first time realizing that. So thank you, Karen. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. Like a full on mic drop. How was the experience for you? Like you said that was it complicated or what was it like for you?
I feel like I've done it a couple times over the course of my life without realizing that that's what I was doing. Just kind of like writing a list of like who I am and who I want to be and what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it in a while. And doing it now, the downer part is realizing like there are parts of my life that are not in alignment with that, where I want to be and how I want to show up and what I want to be doing. So that was a little bit of a like, I mean, it's great to know that and to have that, to be able to reflect on it. It felt like a downer because everybody else in my training was like on cloud nine about their manifestos, and we got paired up. So you worked on it alone and then you got paired with somebody and you talked about it together. And it sounds like people had these like really inspiring, empowering, generative conversations with each other. So everybody was really high. And then I was just like, yeah, no.
That's so valid though. I mean, everyone's going to have a different experience and it's like thank you for sharing that. I think it's also just like it's also interesting to think like I always think of a manifesto or like manifesting something as something being in the future, not necessarily something I'm already embodying. Like so it's like is that the people who were super high on cloud nine were they all like, well, I'm already doing this, bam bam bam, like I'm just amazing, like I'm just writing down how amazing I am? Or was it like, oh, they want to do something in the future? Does that make sense? I don't know if that's too splitting hairs.
No, I don't think so. No, it's a good question. I don't really remember. I just feel like they felt like they were having just really insightful conversations. Yeah.
Maybe they've never done it before.
That could be.
Yeah. I mean, that's so interesting. I think I've had moments where I feel like I have a download and I'm like, oh my God, I have to get a piece of paper because this is what I want to do. And like, this is how I want to feel. And this is, like, I remember one time I was painting and I was like, I wrote down like community, dance, joy, or something, just words that were just in my head. And then I looked at it like a few years later and I was like, oh, I do go to dance class and I do have a community. And like, I was like, oh, that's really beautiful. But like, I will say that skipping around a little bit, I have been feeling this topic really strong lately, like really strong. I don't know if it's age, I don't know if it's just where I'm at in my life, but honestly, Karen, like I don't know in terms of purpose. Like I really don't have an answer. Like I don't have like a 5-point list of like this is where I want to be or this is my purpose in life. Like I mean, part of though, I had a conversation with someone recently and I was like, I don't know what my purpose is and what am I even doing on this planet? And like, it's just all of these things. And like, I think that it's good to hear that other people feel that way because like, that is just real. And like, not everyone feels like levitating all the time about their purpose. But I think the person I was talking to, I can't remember who it was. And they might have been my therapist. I don't remember, but they were like, well, what about your podcast? And I was like, what? And they're like, well, isn't that part of your purpose? Because you're like talking about, feelings, you're talking about mental health, you're connecting with Karen, you're connecting with your community who's listening. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, it's like, I forget sometimes. And I think that like, it's hard to give ourselves credit for how far we've come too.
Absolutely. 1,000%. That is so true. And I'm glad that person said that.
Right? Me too.
Yes.
Me too. I was like, oh, well, yeah, actually, that does align perfectly. Thanks.
Yes. Well, and when I think about what you and I take for granted that we do this, I think of moments like Ginger Buddha with Tanya and Tori saying, listening to you talk helped me come up with this approach that I use in my business every day.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
That was so incredible. And it's like so hard to it's so hard to identify like what's happening in the ripple effect of whatever you're doing. It's like everyone has a ripple effect of whatever they're doing. And it's like the beauty is actually us even hearing that also. Like
Yes.
it's beautiful. I mean, the real beauty of course is that Tori's able to use Tanya's incredible insights and like, apply them to her life and her business. And it's like, oh my gosh, Karen, like how rewarding for us, right?
Yes.
It's
Incredibly rewarding.
it's so rewarding. Like I remember, this is a small example, but I remember I went to Pamplona, Spain on a business trip like 15 years ago, and I loved it so much. And it wasn't during the running of the bulls, but it was just like cool. And like I ended up writing an article for the Chicago Tribune about like 10 things to do in Pamplona that have nothing to do with running of the bulls. And I sent it in, and it was just like, okay, I go to the next story and the next story and the next story. As a freelancer, I don't really think about it again. And I will never forget, like 3 years later, I got an email from Francisco, who's the name of our guide who lives in Pamplona. And he was like, Katie, I just want to let you know that someone from Chicago came on one of my tours this past week and brought a cutout of your
Oh,
Chicago Tribune article and wanted me to do all of the things that you laid out. And it was actually a really great tour. And I was like, well, yeah, that's your tour. Like I literally just quoted like what he had already. And he's like, well, I think you just have such great ideas. And I was like, thanks, Francisco. But really, like, and so, but it was so cool because I was like, oh my God, like that person like saved my article for 3 years. And it's like, I would never, it was such a gift and so generous for him to even consider telling me about it. But it's like, I think maybe when people are thinking about their purpose and not sure what it is, like to also like know that you're making a difference even when you don't know you're making a difference.
in the smallest and the largest ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, and it also reminds me of why it's so important that you tell someone if they've had an impact on you.
Yes.
Like I just had somebody today. We are going through a lot of changes at work. And I, for the month of September, have been posting this morning note where I post like a tip, like take a deep breath, or I think today was tell a mean voice in your head to take the day off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then I post a feel good song and like tell people what stories are coming for the day. And I link to our planning documents. And I've been doing it in September, and people haven't really been responding to it. Like, we have a very active Slack culture, but I might get a couple reactions. I would say since I've been doing it this month, I've gotten maybe 3 or 4 people respond something. And
Yeah.
I got a note today from somebody saying, I am living for your morning note. Thank you.
Oh, Karen. Oh my
Right.
God, that's so beautiful.
And it just was like, and I had decided I don't care if anybody is getting anything out of this. I really enjoyed putting this together. I did the whole month in advance, and I just love it. And I love that I'm generating this positive energy and I am getting something out of it. And I feel like I'm glad that I'm notifying the staff about what's coming and all these things. And so, yes, that person took the time to let me know. And like you're saying, Francisco sent you that email. And Tanya and Ginger Buddha had that conversation. I think if somebody is having an impact on you, you can really have an impact on them by letting them know.
Yes, I love that so much. I mean, how did that make you feel when you got that message?
I like told her like, oh, that just was like, I said it made my day, or just, it was really good for me to hear that. Because like I said, I had already decided like, even if nobody's getting anything out of this, I will. But of course it feels good to know that somebody else is getting something out of it and enjoying it, and hopefully clicking on the links to the songs and watching the videos and
Yes.
taking the deep breath. And yeah,
That's so beautiful. I love that you do that at all though, Karen. Like that's such a beautiful thing. How did you get the idea to send out like a morning note?
I don't even know. It came to me driving home from the grocery store. I was listening to this PJ Morton, who we've talked about, an artist I love, who is from New Orleans. And I was listening to this song, Everything's Gonna Be All Right.
Oh,
And it just, eventually the song becomes a gospel song. He's got all this, he comes from the church, like he's got all these gospel artists on his albums. He's not a gospel singer, but like that is definitely a part of his sound. And so it just becomes this beautiful song. And it was just like so moving to me in the moment. And I was like, I want to share this song with people.
yes.
And then it just became, oh, I could do this every day and share this thing. So I feel like it grew out of literally like having this reaction to that song.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And also, like, I wonder for him if he thinks music is his purpose. And it's like
Oh
that,
yeah.
like, feeds another person's purpose, and then it feeds another person's purpose. It's like that's like just the creativity, like, is generative. Like, it's just it's infectious.
Ooh, I love that. I love that because I feel like he definitely does. And I think he's talked about, I know he has a song called Claustrophobic where he talks about moving to LA.
Oh,
And claustrophobic, it's like I think it's a really funny song because basically it's to the record industry saying, I'm sorry that I don't fit into this small box in your small mind of what I should be. And it's just like, PJ, you're not this enough. You're not that enough. You're not, I think they say you're not street enough. You're not whatever. And it's just like,
ooh,
he just decides to do him. He moves back to New Orleans, records these beautiful albums. And yeah, I think he really is also an example of not letting other people tell you who you are.
I love that. I mean, also, I mean, just like that line, not telling other people or not letting people tell you who you are. I mean, that is just so gorgeous. I think that also like can take us away from our purpose or take us away from what we really want to do when it's like, and I feel like we've talked about tangentially that topic before where it's like, like if you are interested in something, go for it. Like go toward it. Like even if it's something that like no one else has heard of or no one else is doing or like I mean honestly, I'm sitting in a studio right now front that is like owned by a woman who created art that no one knew that was not there before her. And it's like but even if you're doing something that already exists, it's okay. Like it's just if you're interested, then it's valuable.
And even if other people are doing it, it's not you doing it, that
Yes.
you, uniquely you, and the whole universe and the whole span of time doing it are different. I think I definitely struggle with the like, oh, this has been said. What do I have to add to this? Well, I have my own unique spin. I mean, there are other mental health podcasts in the world, but we still do this one.
Yes, it's so true. It's like there no one else is in your body, your brain, your spirit, your soul. Like that in itself is unique and beautiful and worthy of whatever you want to put into the world. And so it's just yeah, it's interesting. It's like I love this so much. Like this conversation is so rich, Karen. I love it. Like I
No.
so appreciate you bringing it up because I'm just like, "Oh, I'm going to think about this now." Because yeah, I think it's also like I think sometimes I get really daunted by the fact that like I'm with you in terms of the list, going back to what you said that you were a little down after you wrote that list because I feel similarly. Like there's a lot in my life, not I don't want to say a lot, but there are things in my life that are not aligned right now and I get down about them. And then I'm like, well wait, what is aligned? Like I and there are a lot of
Mm.
things that are also and I have to remember that too and it's hard to know. Like, I think that I always think, okay, it's going to be one big whale that is going to be my purpose. And I'm going to figure it out. And one day I'm going to wake up and be like, la, and the heavens are going to open. And like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a lot of little things that build up to one big thing. And maybe for you, it's like putting out your morning notes in September is that's just such a beautiful thing. And it's like, I wonder if that at all feels like a purpose to you. Like, does it at all?
It absolutely does. Yes. And I love the idea of like little things adding up to a big thing and remembering that we are where we are for a reason. And that part of tuning into your purpose can be like, okay, what am I learning from this experience, even if I'm not 1,000% on board with it?
Yes.
I am here for a reason. I am doing this for a reason. Like, what am I meant to get out of this? What is the meaning I can make of this?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it also goes back to something so profound that you said, I think last episode or maybe a couple episodes ago about like when you're reflecting on a harder time, what can you learn from it? Like, your Septembers, like when you talk about like looking back at your Septembers and realizing, oh my gosh, there are so many people that I love that were born in this month, like to kind of to reframe in that way as well. And, but also to like not I don't know, what I'm trying to say is like make space for all of it, you know, like I think
Mm.
that's the hard part for me is like sometimes when the negative thoughts come, I'm like, no, 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 just shove that away. Nope, that doesn't exist. Like that doesn't align with the higher self that I want to be. It's like, okay, well, maybe that's coming up for a reason and I just need to let it flow through my body because like when I push something away, it becomes bigger and then it rots inside of my body. I don't know. That was a little bit of a left turn, but yeah, just putting it out there.
The rotting is real.
So real. Yeah.
So I know we almost have to go. I will just end with this, that a follow-up episode to this one is my manifesto / screed about how late stage capitalism keeps us from our purpose.
Ooh.
Because that for me is part of it, is like, oh, I love this thing so deeply, but it doesn't make me money, so I can't do it, or I can't invest my life in it, or I can't make it my job. Like I have to make it my job. Like, ugh, that whole thing.
Yes. To be continued. I would love to talk about that. I think so many people are feeling the exact same way about so many things. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Okay, well, we'll end on that. Thank you, Karen. It is wonderful to see you. It is wonderful to be in all of your ears. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.